How to sell computers on eBay? Tricky question. Easiest way, you look up the model number, you put that into eBay, you look up comp prices, and you can see prices and you can see items that have sold in the past. Because of the variety of computers, let's say laptops, it's a little difficult to really um, to get them sold. Here's the In order to be safe, you definitely want to tell the customers everything that's wrong with it. But if it doesn't turn on, or if it does turn on and you don't know where to look, you're screwed. So let's start at computers that you're going to sell as is, meaning uh, you can't tell them if anything's working or if everything is working correctly if you don't want to test it. Let's say you came into a group of laptops, which will happen. I get some laptops from time to time when I hit the swap meets. I'll just buy them as is. Who knows how much they're going to cost? They're old. Doesn't really matter. I'll buy them for cheap. Sometimes I have a power, sometimes I won't. So the first thing I want to do is look up these items to see if they're even worth going any further with. You put in the info, it'll pop up. Maybe it might have a few comps. Maybe it'll say $20 plus shipping. Do you want to put any work in for $20? It's still going to cost you time, shipping materials, going to the post office. So if it is, and there you go, you can sell it as is, 4 parts for $20. But let's say you see a comp on there, and it says that working, at least it powers on and it comes to a screen, they'll give you $60 for it. Okay, now we're talking. So now what you need to do is figure out if it's worth buying an AC power adapter for it. What I would say, if you're going to get into this business, you should get a universal adapter. They're selling pretty cheap. I got one for, let's say it was like 25, $30, and I opted for getting the multiple tips. So a standard one comes with like 5 or 6 tips, meaning the tips that go into the laptop, because they're not all the same. I ended up getting, I think it started with 6, I ended up getting like 25 or 30, just in case. I mean, I'm dedicated into going to that field. I've been doing computers all my life, so yeah, $30 invested, sure, no problem. Let's just call that some of your startup costs. Okay, let's say you have a laptop and it's $20, so it's kind of on the edge. Since it's not working, you want to see if you want to go further with it because you can get 60. You use your adapter, you plug it in, you power it on, you see it boots, and there you go. You got yourself a $60 computer. You can sell it like that. You can show a picture of it booting on using your adapter. Just make sure you write in the description that it does not include the power adapter. Now, that might cost you a little bit. The $60 one that you saw before might have been with the adapter. So you'd have to price yours anywhere between 20 and 60. Let's say 40, depending on what the adapter costs. So let's say you got 40, or you can spend another $20, or even actually some adapters, depending on if they're common, you can actually get them for $10. $10 and like $3 shipping, something crazy like that. I came into a lot of, I think 7, or was it 9? It was about 9 Fujitsu laptops, and luckily they were different models. A lot of them were the same model, but there's at least 3 or 4 different models in that group. Luckily, they all use the same power adapter, and luckily the power adapter was cheap. I was able to find someone online to sell me 9 adapters already cheap, and they already had a discount on there. If I bought like 3 or 4 more, they'd be like 10% off. So great, perfect. I bought all those, and I was able to resell most of them. I still have a few I got to go through. Okay, so if you're lucky enough, you might find an adapter for $10. So let's say you could sell it for 40 without an adapter. You spend an extra 10, so it means you can now sell it for 60. You made an additional $10 buying the adapter, but of course now you have to factor in your time. Okay, these are all, what would you call it? Whatever the word is for borderline. These are borderline numbers. If the computer broken is $20, but working it's under 50, well then hell yeah, I'll spend $20 on an AC adapter. It's going to be on you, really. Okay, so those are borderline. Then you got yourself a nice home run if you can get 150 bucks. Let me give you an example of something like that happened to me. I was at swap meet. I saw it was an Asus laptop. It was a gaming laptop, so it was a higher end. Guy wanted $5 for it. So I didn't really. I had my kid with me, so it's hard to concentrate. So I didn't really look at it all that much. But for $5, it's a no brainer. That was a no brainer one. Paid $5, took it home. I used my adapter. It wouldn't turn on. That's weird. So I ended up paying 20 bucks. Sorry, let's back up. It didn't work. When I looked up online, it was roughly about $200. $200 if it's working. I forgot what it was not working. I bought an adapter, 20 bucks. I plugged it in, still didn't work. Doing more research, when I tried to pop off the back, there was no screws. I popped up, which is usually usually a sign that something's going on. Somebody tried to get in there. So I popped it off, and I was just tracing the power, just to see the power connection, just to see if that was okay. Maybe it's just not connecting. The AC adapter just not connecting right, or maybe it's loose inside. I see that there's a little spark. It looks like there's a little charring on the motherboard, right around where the power is connected to the motherboard. And I thought, okay, there it is. There's the issue. It has some sort of power issue. Luckily, since I didn't pay a whole lot for it, I'm gonna sell this thing used. I listed it for 90, I think 90 bucks. I got an offer for 50. I ended up passing on it. But because of the low price, you have the ability to determine if you want to sell that thing or not. Okay, so we talked about borderline. We talked about issues with it possibly not working, home runs. Now the next one's going to be probably the most common one, is if your motherboard is it's a piece of garbage. Your computer or your laptop is a piece of garbage, and it's just not going to sell. What do you do? Okay, well, you're actually not. You're actually in a still good position. Why? Because computers have parts, and sometimes the parts are worth more than the computer themselves. Let me give you an example. I purchased a really old IBM computer. It was probably from the mid '80s, I think, and it's a no-name brand. I forget what it was, ATC something. Sometimes when I say no name, I mean I can't really find any info online, and there's no sales or listings at all on eBay. Now that could be good or bad. If there's no listings on eBay, it could mean either it's banned, or it's so rare you can't find it. Unfortunately, in this scenario, yes, it was rare, you can't find it, but it was one of those rares where no one's gonna pay you anything for it, because I can paint something on canvas, looks god awful. It's rare. It's not on eBay, but ain't nobody gonna buy that thing from me. So just because it's rare doesn't mean it's good. Anyway, so the computer, I didn't try listening because it's super heavy, and I didn't really see a need to do that. I bought it for cheap. I decided to piece it out. One of the motherboard itself is a similar one. Was about $100. One of the controllers, I forget what it was. I don't know if it was a hard drive controller or the floppy controller. Anyway, I ended up selling that for 50, untested. Remember, you got to make sure you list all this stuff on there. You got to make sure if you haven't tested it, tell them. And then I looked up the hard drive. And the hard drive, there was a comp for $200. I didn't see if there was any other listings for it, but comp for $200. Now, I probably won't sell it for $200 just because most likely the only person who wanted it was that guy for $200. What I'm gonna do if I want a good amount of money, let's say I want $100 for it, I'm gonna test it. Clean it out, make sure that the person's data is protected, and then go ahead and list it for, I don't know, $100, $120, and then go from there. That's an old computer. You can get newer computers. Let's say you have even laptop screens. They have the monitors. Even if let's say it's a garbage laptop that people won't even give you $10 for. Sometimes the monitor, people can use that on other computers that they're trying to fix. For some reason, that model can work on other computers. People might have other reasons why they would do that. So you can piece out a laptop, or if it's a PC, you can piece out some of the stuff that's inside. Sometimes some people will make their own computer. They'll make it custom, and so maybe the processor might be worth $50. Right now, I had a bunch of computers I was scrapping, I guess is the word. And they were old. You know, Windows XP computers. No one's really going to want them unless, well, we'll go into that in a minute. So I'm taking them apart, and I found there's a processor that's worth $50, but it's a Windows XP. No, not right. It's a Athlon XP processor, Intel XP processor. Anyways, one of those, $50. This thing, people are going to use it. You can't really process newer programs with it, but people like collecting some of these processors. And also there's the gold factor. There's gold on it. RAM, not so much. Maybe there's a video card in there people really want. It might be older, but for some reason it's the right video card for the video game they want to play. It's the perfect one. You can piece those out. Next. That was the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario with computers is none of it's valuable. It's broken. Let's say the screen's cracked. You can't sell the screen. Let's say there's a video card that's a good video card, but you tested it doesn't work. Let's say the hard drive is just mashed up. There's nothing you could do to resell it in its condition. Well, the worst case scenario is you can scrap it. You could sell it for the scrap value of the metal or the part or the gold. A lot of these video cards or any of these PCI cards or AGP cards, you've seen it when you push it into the slot in the motherboard. It's a gold connector. There's gold on the motherboard. Wherever you put the CPU, there's gold in the slot. There's gold on the CPU. Not so much on the newer ones. Well, it still has gold, but the most amount of gold is in the older ones. The RAM has gold. RAM has these chips on it too. If you look at them on the sides, they're called BGA. B as in boy, GA, BGAs, which you can actually sell for scrap, and people will pay for it by the pound. Good amount of money too. There's BGAs. There's gold corner BGAs on the motherboards. Also, people pay by the pound. Why would they pay that? Because there's actual gold inside these chips. They'll break them up. They'll use chemicals to extract the gold and then actually refine the gold to 24 karat, and then they'll sell it. People will buy your motherboards. Let's say you have a stack of just old motherboards. The older the better. People will pay you more for the older stuff. So selling computers, or at least being in the computer market, there's actually a lot of versatility in it. You do a whole lot. Oh, and the cases too. The cases of the PCs, I took like 3 or 4 to my scrapyard. I ended up getting, it wasn't a whole lot, but they saved me the trouble of throwing it in the trash. I can't put it in my trash. So they're actually paying me for my waste. Anyway, so that's how you sell